The courtroom was thick with tension, the air charged with anticipation as the billionaire pointed an accusatory finger at the woman seated at the defense table. "Do you think you can outsmart me? You're nothing but a thief." His words echoed through the silent chamber, his voice dripping with venom. All eyes turned to her. Alicia Carter, a woman who had built her career with integrity, now facing accusations that could destroy her life. The gallery whispered among themselves, waiting for the inevitable verdict, but before the judge could speak, the heavy wooden doors at the back of the courtroom swung open. A man in a sharp suit strode in, his presence commanding. His badge glinted under the fluorescent lights, and in an instant, the entire room fell into stunned silence. The morning had started like any other in New York, the skyline bathed in golden hues as the sun peeked over the city. The chill in the autumn air was a stark contrast to the heat radiating from Alicia's skin as she ascended the courthouse steps. Each step felt heavier than the last, the weight of false accusations pressing down on her shoulders. She clutched her coat tighter around herself, drawing in a deep breath before stepping inside. The courthouse smelled of stale coffee and bureaucracy, the scent mingling with the low murmur of voices. As she walked through the hallway, she could feel the eyes of strangers boring into her. The tabloids had made her a headline: corporate thief caught red-handed, trusted employee steals millions from Fortune 500 company. The words stung, each one a dagger to her reputation. She paused at the double doors of the courtroom, steeling herself for what lay beyond. Her mind drifted back to the life she had before this nightmare began. Alicia had started from the bottom, working tirelessly to climb the ranks at Weston Global Enterprises. By the time she became the senior financial analyst, she had earned every bit of her success. Her boss, Richard Weston, had always praised her work, until she discovered something she wasn't supposed to see. It had started as a simple financial audit, a routine check requested by Weston's assistant. But as Alicia combed through the numbers, inconsistencies emerged. Small at first, seemingly insignificant, but they didn't add up. Funds were being funneled into hidden accounts, buried beneath layers of shell corporations. When she brought her findings to Weston, his reaction was immediate and chilling. "You must be mistaken," he had said, his voice smooth but his eyes hard. "Don't look into this further, Alicia. You wouldn't want to ruin your promising career over a misunderstanding." But she couldn't ignore it. She had built her career on integrity, and walking away wasn't an option. A week later, she was the one in handcuffs, escorted from her office as her colleagues looked on in shock. The charge? Embezzlement. Now, as she pushed open the courtroom doors, all conversation ceased. The room was packed with curious onlookers, reporters scribbling notes, and the few colleagues who still believed in her. At the front of the room, Richard Weston sat with his high-powered legal team, his expression one of supreme confidence. His suit was impeccable, his demeanor unshaken, but Alicia knew the truth hidden beneath that mask. She met her attorney's eyes. James Whitmore was one of the best defense lawyers in the city, a man known for taking on impossible cases. He nodded at her, a silent reassurance that he was ready for the fight ahead. The judge entered, bringing the room to order. Case number 24 to 2091. The State of New York versus Alicia Carter. The prosecutor wasted no time, painting Alicia as a calculating criminal. "This is a case of betrayal," he said, pacing before the jury. The defendant, Alicia Carter, was given access to the financial heart of Weston Global. And what did she do with that trust? She exploited it. Alicia clenched her fists beneath the table. He spoke as if he had been there, as if he had seen her poring over spreadsheets late into the night, trying to make sense of the numbers that didn't align. He made her sound like a mastermind, rather than a woman who had simply tried to do the right thing. When James took the floor, his voice was calm but firm. "This case isn't about betrayal," he said, locking eyes with the jury. "It's about deception. And the true deception lies in the prosecution's so-called evidence, a web of lies spun to protect the real culprit Richard Weston. Weston's smirk faltered for a fraction of a second, but he quickly regained his composure. As the day stretched on, the prosecution brought forward witness after witness. One of Alicia's former colleagues took the stand, someone she had once considered a friend. They testified against her, claiming they had seen her accessing sensitive financial files in secret. By the time the court recessed, Alicia stepped outside into the biting cold, doubt gnawing at her. Her lawyer reassured her that they still had a chance, but as she walked toward her car, she noticed two men in black suits watching her from a distance. Their expressions were unreadable, their presence unsettling. The next morning, as she sat in her car, gripping the steering wheel, a knock at her window startled her. It was one of the men from the day before. He flashed a badge. Special Agent Daniel Reeves, FBI. We need to talk. Her pulse quickened. FBI? What do you want with me? Reeves exchanged a glance with his partner before replying. We've been investigating Richard Weston for over a year. He's involved in money laundering, fraud, and tax evasion. And we believe you're being framed. Alicia's breath caught. She had suspected it all along, but hearing it confirmed was surreal. What happens if I say no? She asked, her voice trembling. Reeves met her gaze. Then Weston walks free, and you take the fall. But if you work with us, we can protect you and take him down. Alicia thought of her son, of the life she had worked so hard to build. Her hands curled into fists. I'll do it, she said. The battle that followed was one of the most grueling fights of her life. Weston wasn't just powerful, he was ruthless. Threats followed her, warnings to back down. But with the FBI's help, James built a case strong enough to unravel Weston's empire. Witnesses came forward, documents surfaced, and slowly, the truth was laid bare. And then, the moment of reckoning arrived. Weston stood abruptly in the courtroom, his mask of confidence cracking. This is ridiculous, he bellowed, pointing at Alicia. She's nothing, a nobody. She didn't deserve to work for me, let alone accuse me. The jury gasped. The prosecution fumbled. The judge slammed her gavel. And just like that, the walls around Richard Weston came crashing down. The verdict was delivered. Not guilty. Relief flooded Alicia, tears streaming down her face. Weston's assets were frozen. He was taken into custody. Justice had prevailed. Weeks later, Alicia sat on her couch, her son curled up beside her. Life was slowly returning to normal, though the battle scars remained a knock at the door. It was James, holding a bottle of champagne. Thought we should celebrate, he said with a grin. Alicia laughed, light and free for the first time in months. She had fought against impossible odds and won, and that was just the beginning.